Dear Thai, dear Sangha, good morning. This morning we will have a chance to have a session of question and answer. So we can benefit from each other's experience in the practice. We know that the most important is to ask the question that is in your heart and not too much the one that is in your mind, related to the practice. So not intellectual question, and the brothers and sisters will share their experience or their own insight related to the topic of the question. And we know that a good question doesn't have to be long. We will invite those who may have their heart beating a little bit faster, maybe. This is an opportunity for you to maybe clarify some of the doubts that you have, maybe concerning the practice or your own practice. Maybe some difficulties that you have to put the practice in your daily life. So we have a chair here, and also if you know you have a question, you can already sit next to the chair, so we don't waste too much time. And we will start with 3 sounds of the bell for us to come back to our breath, to our body, to the fact that we are all here today to generate the practice of mindfulness, concentration, brotherhood, sisterhood, love, understanding. And before each question, we will have a sound of a bell for us also to come back to our inner stillness, for us to see clearly. I forget to mention that if you are too shy to come up, you can write down your question and pass it to us.
Dear Thai, dear brothers and sisters, dear sangha, I have a question from my heart about the practice. It's my concern the last few weeks has been about how to implement, how to move towards engaged Buddhism by using the 5 mindfulness trainings. Engaged Buddhism collectively with other sangha members. And there are 2 topics on which I would like to see something being. I would like to receive the encouragement from Plum village, from monks and nuns, and about how to work collectively to prevent climate degradation. That's one issue that's on my heart, and the second is from the 3rd mindfulness training. There is a part in the 3rd mindfulness training that says, I will do everything in my power to protect children from being sexually abused. And I remember when I was in my first retreats a few years ago, I asked the question in a Dharma sharing, you say I should do whatever is in my power to prevent children from sexual abuse, but what are the ways I can do it? And I never got any answer about it. It's a very serious issue. The Council of Europe says that, estimates that in France or in Europe there are 1 in 5 children being sexually abused, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys. And the damage that those children receive is for the rest of their life. Some of them are destroyed, some of them commit suicide later, some of them develop psychiatric diseases. Some of them become violent, some of them become aggressors. I'm very glad that Thai introduced that in the 3rd mindfulness training, this very big, I don't know how to call it, this drama. But I really wish that we would be given some tools, like practical tools, and maybe ways in which we could act collectively to stop this from being perpetuated. And I would love to hear from the brothers and sisters what they have to say on this issue.
This is have you taken the 5 mindfulness training? Yes. That is our teachers and our community's answer to your question. So you study and you practice and you apply it with the sangha. So with climate change, the consumption, with the sexual abuse, child abuse, also we have to look at the media, the advertisement, the movies. So with the Me Too movement and all the sexual abuse that comes out, we can see that sexual abuse is very linked to power and wealth. And so this is our situation of our society. So we cannot blame one individual, but we must look at the collective. So the 5 mindfulness training is our teachers offering to instill a collective awakening. And it has to come from our deep practice and deep looking as a practitioner as well as a sangha, to see in our local neighborhood, in the schools, in the places that we interact with, and how to bring and manifest these teachings, not as a Buddhist ethic, but as a way of looking at changing our way of looking at our situation, our watering these seeds in society. And climate change is part of overconsumption of our country, so we have to look again at material and resources, and also where the wealth is and how we can help with that. So please go back and with your sangha to look again all these the questions you have. If you look deeply at the 5 mindfulness training, there's a phrase that can invoke a deep looking in your situation. So please help us with the sangha, what city you are, to spread that out. Mindfulness and meditation is on the rise, but we also need, along with that, ethical mindfulness, right mindfulness, not just a mindfulness that protects our comfort and our business as usual, but a mindfulness that can lead our society and the planet out of the situation. So thank you for your question.
Dear Thai, dear community, I'm very nervous. I feel my heart is beating. The word doubt make me stand up. As OI member, I decided to spend 3 months in Plum village to refresh my practice. Because I observed I was in great doubt regarding my practice, including my practice as OI member and as leading a sangha. And I've been quite surprised myself recently, in the last year, to say to a friend of mine that sometimes I had the impression that I was in the interdoing movement rather than interbeing. And so I said, okay, maybe it's time to observe and stop and see how we can, I can be at the service, but also really refresh my practice and also practice like a beginner. So I would be happy to have your advice as to how I and we could inspire ourselves from your practices in the way we organize retreats, and because we are sometimes in some areas we are not many to organize quite a lot of things like retreats, sanghas, facilitations, mindfulness days and so on. And sometimes we are not all together in the same area, so how can we implement your practices in the way we take decisions, for example, in a harmonious way? Also to maybe let go of our ideas of how it should be, and also maybe I also like the practice of shining light, so I just wondered how we could implement this in our lay community and OI community, or even among a sangha, like the facilitators. And so my question is just how to stay with a beginner's mind when we are organizing many things, and that also with the reality that we are not living together, and sometimes we are quite far from each other.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, dear Benedict, my heart is beating, so that means maybe I need to share. There are many questions in your question. So I will just take the last part, which is how can we maintain our beginner's mind when we organize retreat, Day of Mindfulness. So the first and only thing that comes in my mind is a question. How do we maintain our beginner's mind in our daily life? Because if we cannot do this in our daily life, there's no way we can have this energy, this relation with organizing, with people, with... So I would go back to look into my daily life. How do I nourish this beginner's mind in my daily life, in my routine? In Plum Village we have a schedule, and it's more or less always the same. So how can we maintain our beginner's mind when we have a schedule that is almost always the same? This morning I walk up through the new green path, and I try to relax with each step, knowing that I will be sitting here. And then I look around all the beauty of the nature. And suddenly I look a little bit further and I saw some pine trees near Nghiem direction. And there were some clouds further, and I'm like, oh, maybe there is a mountain behind. Because I love to go to mountain. And whenever I go to the mountain, my energy is very fresh and new, and there is something also a little bit exciting to go to the mountain. But when I was walking this morning and I realized, oh, there is so much beauty here already. So how can I walk this path? How can I walk in Lower Hamlet, for example, where I live for many years, and keep this freshness, keep this open, free mind and heart to receive whatever is here. And it's the same with my sisters and the people. How can I relate to my sisters and long terms, or friends that I know a little bit, and in such a way that I'm not stuck with some perceptions or ideas, things that happened in the past, but really the idea of also beginning anew every day, every moment, every hours is an opportunity to let go. let go of my expectation, let go of where I have to go, so I can enjoy each step. Let go of my worries. And at the same time cultivate trust. So for me it goes together, the letting go and the trust. The trust that this moment is already enough, is already filled with both beauty and sometimes suffering or sadness, and it's okay. We learn how to be with suffering thanks to the practice. We don't need to run away. And relating to the organizing retreats, Day of Mindfulness, because we also want to respond to the needs of the society. And sometimes we feel we need to bring new things. And we may have some reaction from other people. So maybe sometimes it takes time to bring new things, new ideas. And sometimes it's not the right moment to bring new ideas, so we need to let it cook inside. And to come with real insight and start sharing, just sharing, and not saying let's do that and this. And the harmony in the sangha is a foundation for us to walk the path very far and long, and also for us to reach many areas in the world. If we don't have harmony, we cannot go very far. So there is a French OI gathering right now, and so this is also an opportunity to look together. How can we nourish our harmony? And how can we see and water the beautiful qualities in each of us. So this is something that we do a lot in our monastic community. Whenever we see someone who has some talent, or we really try our best to encourage this talent to bloom. So I don't know if I answer anything, but the most important is how can I keep my beginner's mind in my daily life, in my routine. So every time I do something every day, how can it be new? How can it feel new? and bring me some freshness and some, like the child discovering the world again. So being like a child, not knowing.
Good morning, dear friends. Thank you for your question, and thank you for the time and effort you put as a member of the Order of Interbeing. It's nice to have a doubt sometimes, when we feel there's something a bit off. It's a chance for us to look back, see what's happening, and see if we can do better. So we feel better, we help other people feel better. So that has its own role to play. And when we start serving others, we quickly find out that there's a lot of people out there that need our help. There's always work to do. And it's important not to burn out. The other day I was talking with my sister and I told her half jokingly that when we just enter the sangha we have a lot of time to do nothing. Nothing in the beautiful sense of the term, just being here, just being open and allowing our mind to rest and healing to happen. But as we grow in the sangha, it's easy to get busier and busier and busier helping other people to do nothing. So it's a bit of a funny situation there. And one thing I like to practice when life gets a bit busy here is to say no. And saying no can be an act of love. Saying yes can be an act of love because you want to help. You feel happy when you see others receiving your help. It nourishes you also. But sometimes saying no is a better act of love. Because you know that if I go there, I'll just break. It's going to be too much for me. And if I break, I feel bad. And when I feel like that, I just can't serve anymore. So no can be also love. And we have to create a culture in which it's okay to say no sometimes. And also the way we approach each other. Can you help me do this? If I feel that I'm not able to receive a no from you, then it's better for me not to come to you. And that's how I practice. Before making a request, I ask myself, how will I receive a no? If I'm not ready, I don't ask, because that's not a request, that's a command. And it's not nice. I put you in trouble, I put myself in trouble. And sometimes when you say no, people may get a bit upset. They say, oh, it's just this, but actually maybe it's the last drop of water. It's the, what's the English one? The hay that broke the camel's back, something like that. And so you have to know your energy levels, where they're at. And this is mindfulness, and this is our practice. One thing that is very helpful also in this aspect is to know where you are indispensable and where you're not. For instance, here we have the summer retreat, it's very busy. I know that there are some tasks, some activity that I need to be there. If I'm not there, then other people will suffer, something will happen. But there are other activities where I'm not indispensable. So if I need some rest, I'm gonna use these times so that I'm fresher to that, and the whole sangha can run smoothly. You've asked also about ways to manage our sangha, how to make decisions together. There's a lot you can learn in Thai's book, Joyfully Together. And if you've already read that book, you can also start reading the Bhikshu and Bhikshuni precepts. I think there's a lot of, 26 centuries of living together, there's a lot of experience. And right now we have 2 models in our community worldwide that are working very well. One is our monasteries, fourfold sanghas, monks, nuns, lay, male, lay, female practitioners. And the second model is the lay sanghas, where people come usually once a week. But as you mentioned, you're not living together. And that's something that's lacking in our sangha, and I believe this is our next step, is lay residential sanghas. So, monastic-free sanghas. And we need to come up with a new model that's working. And I believe that it will help a lot if you read the Bhikshu and Bhikshuni precepts. Small things in living together, how to make decisions. So basically for the meetings, it's very important to invite the right person to lead the meeting. This person should be stable in their practice and be able to make space for other people. And they should also remind the group to why we're doing this for. And look together, so it's not about me versus you, my idea is better than yours, no. It's about we are together and we look in one direction. Second thing is very important, is to limit people's speaking times. So, and that's what our teacher encourages us to do. I think we haven't done it with the actual clock and stuff. I've never seen it done with maybe a few times. But we got, I think we, now in the parliament, we got a good feel for it. And so you can give, 2-3 minutes for people to share. So when, as a facilitator, you want to encourage everyone to share, as many people as possible, but to share concisely to the point, so people don't lose time. And also you want to try to end the meeting on time. As a facilitator, it's very important. That's how you create a culture where people feel safe when they come to the meeting, and they don't, exhaust themselves in meetings. It's very important. Especially you all do this as volunteers. So it's very important that people still feel fresh and happy. And for shining light, you can ask your sangha, can we do shining light? You can suggest, yeah? And it's all in the book, Joyfully Together. Thank you.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, dear brothers and sisters, I was wondering, how fast does a heart actually beat when you sit up here? It turns out it's pretty fast. So I have a a more, what would you say, personal, focused question in that sense. I've been coming to Plum Village for about 3 years on a somewhat regular basis. And in that period of time, I've had a fair amount of sickness and hardship for about 3 to 4 years. And it is slowly getting better. So this time when I came to Plum, I had the joy of coming here, being in a really good place in my life, being really happy, feeling things are going well. And I thought, okay, I'm going to Plum to just be happy. And then I came here, I'm like, I seemingly don't know how to actually just basically be in the moment and just be happy. I think I've used Plum in many ways as a therapeutic practice, one might say, in really trying to learn to be with discomfort and trying to be able to handle the pain that I have been going through, physically as well as mentally. And I think I was aware of this before I came, my struggles with just like letting things be and just like basically be happy and don't be unsure of what might come. And I think I have some like psychological therapeutic ways to approach this. So it's not that I feel completely lost in that sense, but I could be really curious as to what you as monastics could potentially have to say in that regard.
Can you summarize?
Sure, yeah. How would it be... Okay, give me 1 second. Having been used to using Plum as a therapeutic space more than a happiness place, is there advice that you could give me to turn it into a place of the practice into a place of more happiness, basically, instead of a place of dealing with suffering?
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, the question is not just to Plum Village, but it's a good question to ask ourselves. There's a time where we need healing, and there's a time where we think there's a difference between a healing time and a nourishing time. When you're well and healthy and mentally, uplifting and so on, you think you are happy. And when you're needing things and you're suffering and so on, that is kind of like, maybe we don't want to be in that state. In my practice, I've learned to actually enjoy when I'm sick, enjoy when I'm sad, enjoy when I'm needing some healing, some space, some quiet, some time to be by myself in solitude. And when I say enjoy here, it's not joy, but it is being at home with it, being okay with it. So this kind of back and forth doesn't... I'm very careful with that now. When we are well, we're happy and we're very excited and we get involved in things and we're doing good things. Actually, we cause a lot of suffering as well. Maybe we're just overconfident and we don't let other people share. And we all have this good idea. And so when you're tired, you're sick, you seem to be more... There's a good aspect to it. You listen better, you're more humble, you have less energy, so you go slower. So I just want to share that Plum Village, we learned here not to remove that distinction. So we don't try to come here to just be joyful and having a great time, and this is the best vacation week I've ever had in my life. But it might be the worst week of your life, but you're able to be real to yourself. You're able to hold your suffering for the first time. So slowly we need to remove these kind of labels we have of what the practice is supposed to help us with. And this is my experience of watching people go deeper and deeper into the practice. They slowly become more even, more stable with that. And so we might look and you think, oh, everyone is fine. But be careful. They look like they're happy, but so we have to not, our deep practice is not to be fooled by that anymore. Someone who's looks like they're having a great day in the afternoon, no. So you only see one moment. And the same thing with us. Every moment we need to be watchful of our mind and our feelings as it changes. So my main sharing to you is to be careful. These things that we label as this is healing, this is flourishing, because they really need each other and they're actually within each other. So sometimes healing, I was telling a brother the other day, is not just like retreating and being in the room by yourself. Maybe you're not even resting, you're overthinking. But in fact, healing could be you participate and you do walking meditation. And healing is knowing where the nourishment comes from. So healing requires energy. So part of healing is also knowing how to walk with the sangha and allow yourself to be nourished by the collective. So healing is not just about a kind of a more gray and dark space, but actually healing can be green and as open as well. So these are the things that we need to train ourselves to, because sometimes it's just our habit to think healing is this, but in fact we are just digging our hole more. And sometimes we are overexcited and we think we're well, but in fact we're running away from something. You see the difference? So you have to be very careful of, don't be fooled by the practice. Sometimes you're very diligent, but actually underneath you're forcing yourself too hard. So there's always, and the more you practice, the more still, more calm, the more watchful you are of your mind and your emotion, the more deeper and subtle you begin to see underneath other waves that are also happening. So this is, I share that personally for your practice. And the way you look at the collective, the community, Plum Village, be careful of, write down what you label Plum Village. Oh, I come here to transform, to get this, that. But actually, if you get the opposite of that, is that okay? Because, the practice is supposed to help you go deeper, not to get some result. So going deeper is each person's personal journey, what that means for them. Yeah, and please ask our other friends as well to share how they have been here many times, and each time they found a new potato to bake. Huh? Those are kind of friends you want to be guiding your practice. They don't come here just for the candy and the chocolate. So you find Dharma friends that are looking for the deepening, and not just to have a good time here in Plum Village. It's nice to have a good time here, and we do have a lot of fun, but it's not just a hospital. Huh? Yeah. Thank you.
J'ai observé que les derniers mois, pour moi, ça avait été très compliqué de faire des choix.
In the last few months, it's been very hard for me to make choices in my life.
Et j'avais toujours... quand j'étais face à un choix, j'essayais vraiment de regarder les deux côtés, d'observer. Mais une fois que je décidais d'aller dans une direction, en fait, j'arrivais pas à lâcher l'autre côté.
In the process of making a choice, I would always look at the pros and cons. But once I made that choice, I would always have a part of me that would regret.
Et je me suis rendu compte que c'était devenu une grande source de souffrance en fait pour moi.
And so not being able to let go of that other part created a lot of suffering for me.
Donc voilà, ma question est comment pouvoir vraiment faire des choix et me tenir à ces choix en fait.
So how to stick to my choices.
I'm just going to take the microphone to say I don't have many choices in my life right now to make. So maybe I'm not the best person to to share my experience of making choice. Yeah. Maybe we're all the same situation. Sorry, I'm making a joke, but I'm sure one of us will try to shed light on your question. Allow me to add just a little bit to go along with following your heart. What is your priority during this time of your life? I think that can also help you to have more clarity on the direction you want to take in your life if you have to make big choice or small choice. And then you follow it 100% in order to let go of the other 1,000, 1 million choice you have maybe in the world. In the society, there's so much choice now available that maybe sometimes it can be overwhelming. So coming back to yourself and to what is my priority right now? Is it my well-being? Is it my career? Is it my happiness? Is it my family? Is it the world? What is it? And so using a little bit the mind along with the heart, just to connect deeply. What is the direction I want my life to have? And then you forget about the other choice for a while. Otherwise, you will always, be unstable and confused, and that will not help you. So it requires some courage and stability in, okay, this is the choice I made because I know this is my priority. I know, I look deeply, I ask some of my friends, it makes sense to me to go in that direction because I know it will bring me happiness, it will bring other beings happiness. So if the direction is going towards the well-being of you, your family, the world, there's no... and maybe there are other choices that also goes in that direction. But if you always keep looking around, then you will always have confusion and it will not help you to move forward.
I'm not sure how to ask it in a precise way, so I will try. I personally feel I'm going through a very deep spiritual crisis in my life and confusion, and it's for me a major decision to make about choosing the Dharma as a spiritual path. I'm also confused because I've been exposed to many different spiritual traditions and masters and teachers. I had very deep healing experiences in Plum village and with the practice of mindfulness throughout my years. But I find it very challenging and different from what I used to. And I'm wondering about the idea of collective sangha. Do you, when you ask people to be harmonious all the time, doesn't mean you don't have conflicts? Okay, I'm just. How do you work with people's karmic projection on you, and do you do shadow work, if you know what I mean? And how, if you go deeply to projection of other people, of their karma, how do you walk with that and walk with your own inner negative places that you oppress and then you may project on others? I'm not sure if I'm clear. But yeah, within the framework of the idea of harmony and sangha, because we keep projecting our karmic vision on each other all the time.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, in the Buddhist practice we call that perception. Many of the suffering come about because we have wrong perception. So projection is a kind of a wrong perception. And projection doesn't happen outward, but it also happens inward. So we project the present moment on us, like we are like this, we are like that. This is who we are. I am shy, I'm confident. So we have identity is a kind of inward projection, who we are and who they are. And so we're constantly living in that world. And that's what's beautiful about coming together as a community. Because it's easier to live in the forest and to deal with the trees and the flowers and the clouds, and even a dog, a cat. It's so easy, you know. They don't project back, right? It's like, oh, you always come when I need you. You know, it's very easy. But with other humans, oh. And we put you in a room with, you know, we don't let anybody live in on the room on their own. Everyone go, can I please have a room for myself? And so we want you to feel the joy and the suffering of sharing a room and how to practice with that. So a lot of our pain, our wounds have come from our family, from a society that was very based on an individualistic way of looking at things. I take care of my own happiness, my own practice. And when we come together as a community, we are challenged to actually open that up. So this is a kind of formula that we do here to create healing for the individual, for the collective, and for us to find a harmonious way with the diversity of our personalities, our ancestors. And so the practice, the basic practice, don't go there in the perception world. Don't be looking around and be caught with your eyes and your ears, but to train to be with your breath, with your body, and be aware of your feelings. Okay? You have to master that. When you walk, you enjoy your step. When you look at the tree, really be with the tree without projecting onto it. Oh, this is an oak tree. I love oak trees. They're my favorite tree. Oh, I remember in the past. So you pull back, breathe. So our practice is always to establish and to create a habit of staying in the present moment. And this is a really good tool for us to keep us calm, peaceful, and still when the other things are happening. And slowly with the practice, I see more of the years, the more I'm stable with who I am, my body, where I'm sitting, and I'm more aware of my breath, not constantly, enough to catch when I'm like, oh, okay, I'm projecting. Oh, I'm reacting. Oh, I have a feeling. But those things don't move me. You see, you're aware of it, projection is happening, but you stay very, we call mirror awareness. Because we deal with perception constantly with our ears, our eyes, our sense doors. And the practice of training ourselves to be familiar and to have a habit of being in the present moment is the tool for handling, because it is. The world is how we look at it. So the more we come in tune with who we are and where we come from, our ancestor, our wounds, our joy, so the more you understand yourself, your suffering, and your happiness, your peace, your all these wonderful qualities as well. The more you understand that and how that operates, then it's much easier to handle outside. That's why it's very hard to practice the basic formula of the way out is in, right? And many times in my practice life, I always go, but it's really like that out there. You know, and you have to come back to the breathing, do some walking meditation. So when a strong emotion comes up, because you're triggered by these projections and people's opinions, or just even you overheard something, and if it triggers an emotion, then we do recognize it, hold it, embrace it, take care of it. And when you're calm enough, when you've done your walking, calming your the storm that trigger, then you can actually bring it out and look into it. Wow, why did that trigger me so much? There's a judgment. It reminds me when I was young in the family at the dinner table. So understanding will liberate you from that. Maybe not the first time. Next time it happens, you're still triggered, but you're like, okay. It takes a few moments and you're gonna, okay, you're still triggered. The more you understand, then the freer you become from those perceptions and projection. So the freedom comes from your insight, from your understanding of yourself. And when you understand yourself, you have a better chance to become more understanding of others. a better chance. Sometimes you think you understand them, but then, it's your projection again, right? But at least you know that that's happening. And that's a really great, already you're aware that we do go around projecting and perceiving. And the Buddha, said, it's like, I think 100% of our perceptions are kind of off. But our teacher has given us a little bit, like he said 99%. It's kind of, I don't know if he said that, but I like to think that he said that. More compassion for us to, to have a little play and little suffering so we can go home and go, okay, do my homework, yeah? And, it's there is, we are our personalities and we have our ancestor, but it's also wonderful. So don't be afraid of wrong perception. It's like, okay, where did that come from? You see? So don't punish, don't suppress it, don't be so negative about it. That happens all the time. Wrong perception, projection. So allow it to say, wow, there it goes again, right? So don't put so much weight and heaviness to it. Yeah? So in your friendship, in your sangha, in the community, you see that's happening. And not being pulled away from it doesn't push it away or pull at it. Oh, this is right. Oh, that is wrong. But you're more calm. And so you become a little bit more free from these things. But it's okay to play with it once in a while. We do that here quite often, and we get to know each other much better. And so it is also an element of our liberation, the wrong perception. So don't be afraid of them, because they are the condition for us to understand each other, to understand ourselves. So when a wrong perception happens, don't think of it as negative, but see it as, this is a chance. Now I see, okay, this sister need to be very careful when I say, this word. You see? So without that, you don't have the understanding. You see? So don't be judgmental about it or too heavy about it. Okay? So, and remember, follow your in-breath, train your basic practice so you be present. Yeah. Thank you. So thank you, dear Sangha. I think we will end here. We have 2 questions here have not answered. We apologize for that, and hopefully our brother and sister can help you with that at another time. So we'll listen to 3 sounds of the bell here, and